Welcome to Modern Goddess. Here we discuss everything mastering your mindset, wellness wisdom, upgrading your relationships so that you can unleash your divine goddess essence and live your authentic best self every single day. I'm your host, Cassie Aurora. Hey, welcome back to the podcast. My name is Cassie. If you haven't met me and if you're joining me again, thank you so much for coming back, and thanks for being here and diving into astrology and just having a learn about, all of the depth and complexities of your astrology chart, how astrology can be pretty life-changing, but in the same way, today's episode is kind of superficial, kind of not. I kind of did an episode on this before, not really, but I basically did an episode. Oh, I'm out walking, by the way. I basically did an episode on the Mars signs and being more productive. So if you're kind of an entrepreneur, if you're someone who wants to be more productive in your life, check out that episode. Just scroll down. I'm sure it's somewhere. I'm not sure what number it is. I never numbered my episodes, and now I'm knee deep in non-numbered episodes. When I expand the biz and I get a VA, they'll be numbering them and I'll be able to tell you. But for now, scroll down and you'll see the productivity and your Mars sign. But today, I'm going to talk a little bit more about what turns you on, how to really get in your sexual embodied energy as a woman. There are more things than just what I'm going to talk about today, but we're going to talk about this in your chart, because something I've been definitely keep having to in my life, getting deeper and deeper into, is really my feminine. And this is hard for me, I think, because, if you're someone who has experienced trauma in the past, or you've just kind of had the role model of your mum, who maybe your mother had the role model of being just like this independent go-getter, especially if you've had a single mum. This is quite common, like I did. They tend to be really in their masculine because they have to, to survive. They have to be the provider, the caretaker, the DIYer. And I'm not talking in terms, just want to put a disclaimer out. When we're talking about masculine and feminine, we all have these inherent roles within us, and generally more female sexed bodies tend to actually need to be more in the feminine, circular energy for their health and well-being. So yeah, I'm just gonna put that out there. Please don't come after me. This is what I find works every time, and in my own life. But there are always exceptions. However, coming back to it, when it comes to us really as women wanting to be more magnetic, wanting to feel more in our well-being, sexual energies is an incredible, powerful and potent energy we can be using to attract in a lot more abundance in our lives. We can even use it to actually learn how to soften. It's really good for stress and for stress hormones. I have actually been trying to have a lot more orgasms since having the baby, because basically it's a fucking stress. I love Bonnie to bits, but that you do not feel sexy when it's 1 a.m, you're sleep deprived, you're cleaning up like shit. At one point there was literally flying baby shit around the room. Oh my god. So you just do not feel in your sensual, sexy feminine. And of course you're not going to all the time, because there's moments where you need to, as an entrepreneur or a mother or a caretaker, that you're not going to be I'm not going to be going towards my baby with a fucking sensual energy, but then there's that degree of softness, and that's a different facet of what I want to bring. But anyway, what I'm saying is, to de-stress, orgasms were helpful, but yeah, you definitely don't feel good when you're kind of, if you have a job that's very practical, or if, you know, you're a mum and you're kind of like hair scraped back, like just trying to get through the day some days. Like I totally get that. So this is really, like, when it comes to connecting with your partner in an intimate sexual way, me and Alex have incredible intimacy often when we're not having sex. Actually, it's a lot more when we're having heart to hearts. I think women need that. I definitely need that from him. But yeah, I think that sexual intimacy is also important. And for me, and if you are someone that wants to have great sex, you want to be more turned on in your life because this is going to make you more magnetic, then I really think that you'll get a lot from this podcast. And if not, it's just interesting because you can actually use this to help you go for the right kind of men. You know, in our head sometimes, which is very mercurial, we have what we think we like. Then when we actually look at our Venus and our Mars placement, especially Mars placement, which is what I'm going to look at way more today, because Venus and Mercury are normally really close to your sun. Especially when you look at your Mars placement, you'll understand actually what you're actually instinctually, because Mars is your instincts, attracted to. And Mars is also what drives you, that forward driving sex drive. I think for women, we need to look at the Venus placement as well. So as I go through this, find out what your Venus placement is. There's a free birth chart calculator on my website in the freebies section. And also find out what your Mars placement is, what sign they're in. So look at what sign they're in, and take a note. And then as you listen to this, they could be in the same sign, which is always fun, but easier. You'll understand what actually turns you on. And helps you get into that sensual energy, and how you like the bedroom action to be, and what you value that can get you in that space. So I'm going to go through each sign, and I just think this episode is fun, but also maybe find out what your partners or previous people you've dated are. And it's just like, it's so literal, like I'm not going to go into anything like, it's not naming and shaming. It's just like, oh, I know that person's Mars placement, and now reflecting on people I was with, I was like, holy shit, like what it was like in between the sheets is exactly what it just makes complete sense. So some of this will be splashes of I guess what's the word, real life experience and knowing from people in my life, and that can be friends' tales that they've shared with me. I won't be sharing names or details, and it's probably nothing any listener has ever shared with me, but knowing charts and knowing famous people as well, it's just funny. So this episode is light-hearted, but at the same time, if you really want, if you're thinking, God, why am I never turned on? Why don't I have a libido? Maybe you're not using your Mars placement. Maybe you're not harnessing it. Maybe that's stopping you from actually feeling satisfied, because Mars is very instinctual, remember. So let's dive into it. So let's start with Mars in Aries. I'm just going to go in the traditional order, it's easier. So if your Mars is in Aries, I actually really find this placement fascinating. Mars in Aries, people always seem to really like the chase. Remember, you can look at this for Venus in Aries, but they really like the chase. They like to be pursuing someone. Often with Mars in Aries, once they've caught what they're looking for, because Aries is this competitive warrior kind of spirit, it's just kind of like, oh, it's no fun anymore. It always reminds me of like cats playing with a mouse. Like once the mouse is dead, it's no fun. Not quite the same, hopefully, during the bedroom, but they really like the chase. So I always think with a Mars in Aries person, whatever side, there can be this element of like playing a bit hard to get, but it's not like genuine playing games. This is like when you're in a relationship. They really, the masculine, like there can be like with any of the fire signs, there needs to be like a spontaneity. Can be an element of danger, an element of riskiness. Definitely this kind of leading, dominating, and then switching is really important. So when it comes to just feeling turned on, I feel like a Mars in Aries person really needs to feel like they can be in charge sometimes, and then for someone to take charge on them, towards them. And this can be hard for Mars and Aries person. They don't know how to let go, but when they do, it's actually really powerful for them. But yeah, doing playful, going to new locations, so changing up like things around the house. If you really can't go anywhere, travel anywhere, change up things around the house. Mars colours, because Aries is ruled by Mars, so think about reds. They probably get turned on in more hot weather. A cold day is not going to turn them on whatsoever. And even playing sports together, going to the gym together with your partner, going and doing some exercise will physically make them feel way more turned on. So that's kind of the Mars in Aries energy. They really can be like wham bam thank you man, in and out. And sometimes the element of like sudden quickness can really help them. So if your partner's this, if you're this, and say that you're Mars in Aries and your partner's like, I want to go slow and sensual, and you're like, come on, like, then you maybe need to have a conversation about that. Likewise, if your partner is Mars in Aries or in kind of a quick sign, you want to think about, well, okay, you need to state your needs or have fun and just surprise them. So there we go. Okay, so we have then Mars in Taurus. So Mars in Taurus people, I have this placement. They are the slowest moving energy. So Taurus is about the senses. So if like there's a dirty room, if it's like, they're not going to be the ones that want to have a quickie in the toilet, like, and Mars in Virgo, but I cannot imagine anything worse than that at all. I think that's rank, probably the same as some other Mars placements. There are always exceptions, remember, because of aspects to your Mars, but on the general, clean, relaxing atmosphere. There's a sense that there's no danger. It's like no one's going to come and disturb for hours. The kids are at their grandparents', the front doors, the back doors, everything's locked. There's no disturbing. The phone's on silent. There needs to be candles, nice music, maybe having like a nice drink of wine beforehand. The whole thing needs to be slow, and the whole thing. So think of sensual, touching, slow pace, teasing. This is really for Mars in Taurus. If you've got Mars in Taurus and like at the end of a day you're like not feeling sensual, like I have to really think, how do I want to feel good? Really can help to use the body. Taurus is a lot about the body, as is Aries, but like to really move and dance and get on the earth, playing earthy music, moving the kind of base chakras. Something else for them is like to not have pressure. This is important with Mars and Taurus. Not have pressure to like know that some like, how's it explained, like, okay, I need to feel sexy now. Like that will, it's Taurus is like stubborn, so it's like this slowness, this time to unwind and have time alone to get into the space. That's a very Mars in Taurus thing. So then, if you are a Mars in Taurus, know that you may be getting to like fixed ways of doing things, and experimenting is quite scary for you. Like for me, it's quite scary. So it's all about just slow changes. Like Can you maybe mix up the underwear you're wearing today? Can you maybe try a different place or a location, or, you know, but those are kind of the things that I would advise for a Mars in Taurus. And generally Mars in Taurus long for deeply their partner to take time with them, for slowness, for tenderness, like massage, all of those things. And if that doesn't happen, there's always a part of them that may feel that they're not getting what they need. So think about that. Even as a Mars in Taurus, you could do some self breast massage or like shoulder massage before you go like into like, as you know, on your own, to prepare yourself to go into the bedroom, or just in general to help you be more generally in that energy of softness and like sensuality. So Mars in Gemini is the next sign. Mars in Gemini, they love the intellectual stimulation. They like the change. They like the flightiness. They like the quickness. They like everything to just be maybe more of a whirlwind. Definitely. They are probably not averse to, you know, cheeky text messages, all those things. It's definitely the Mars in Gemini energy. When I think about Mars in Gemini, it's like a very volatile, kind of fast, all over the place energy. Well, that's how they can be. They can get very in their head, I think, about it. It's not a bad thing. But yeah, they definitely might even like to get into like the makeup sex, like whereas a Mars in Taurus, if there was any bad feelings, they would not be able to have makeup sex. They need emotional resolve. Kind of more Mars in Aries, Mars in Gemini, they can kind of have like angry, kind of maybe like a bit rough. So yeah, they will not be averse to that. So if you're a Mars in Gemini, think about that. Think about, how can I write maybe, or read like an erotic novel, listen to erotic music. Could I? Yeah, so those are things you could try. And your partner as well, send him a cheeky text message, leave cheeky love notes, those kind of things. It's very intellectual. So Mars in Cancer, I always think with Mars in Cancer, they just need to feel safe. Emotionally, with the Mars in Cancer energy, it has to be emotionally in the right space. So no, they're not the ones who are going to be having the makeup angry sex. It would be quite rare. It's more like they maybe need that they're having sex to feel emotionally secure. But also that maybe also it's like they need to feel more emotionally stable before they jump into something. So for these people, it's actually about mentally and emotionally being in the emotion of sensuality, and anything that's kind of blocking them from that. So they've had a bad day, meditate, get yourself in the right space, and then you can go into it. But any emotional kind of anguish or adversity going on, it's going to really kill the libido. They actually need to be emotionally content before they can do anything well. With Mars in Cancer, of course, they will probably be more turned on at home, you know, even in the kitchen. That's a very literal, very, very literal. I meant to say about Mars in Taurus, the Mars in Taurus people, a good meal, a good evening of food, usually food after, and yeah, that can be very good for Mars in Taurus. Mars in Cancer are not too dissimilar. It's kind of like they can be at home and they want to be somewhere familiar and safe, and that makes them feel turned on. If you take them somewhere new, they need to customize. They're probably not going to be the people having sex in the toilet, unless it's a Cancerian place like a kitchen or a restaurant. That's quite Cancerian, so that could maybe happen. But yeah, get your home comfortable. The family needs to be working well. So it's just kind of that vibe. There needs to be a safety, a sense of security and stillness, a bit like the Mars in Taurus, but slightly different. It's more emotional, less physical and material. So then we have Mars in Leo. So Mars in Leo, they are really up for this kind of domination thing. They like to be dominated. They like to dominate. That is, again, a fire sign. They're into it being it can be very dramatic. That's what they really like. They can almost suddenly turn into like a bloody porn star or something. You know, kind of this showy, theatrical. They're really going to be into role play or dress up, because I think a lot of people actually are, and that's not just to do with your Mars sign. There can be aspects to Mars, but this is a very Leo thing. They can as well get fixed in the ways of doing things, how they do things, and it's hard for them to change that. They'll probably want someone they want it somewhat to be glamorous. So they're the ones who might like the flashy underwear, all of those things. So, you know, whereas a Mars in Taurus or Capricorn might be more earthy and pragmatic, just like, it doesn't matter what underwear it is, although actually Mars in Capricorn is different, we'll get to that. Mars in Leo, that is a sense of, there can be flashiness, expensive underwear. Actually being wined and dined with fine wining is very Leo. Think lavish, think of like that over the top date. That's the one that helps. So if you have a Mars in Leo and you haven't got the time to do it, it's the end of the day, put some gold on. You know, maybe it's not necessarily for you like having a bath or something. It's more like giving yourself, like making yourself feel important. It's like putting your partner on a pedestal if they've got a Mars in Leo. So like asking for those compliments, almost being like worshipped a little bit. That's not just that sign, that's others. But that's definitely a big Leo energy. They would really probably be the sign that might be, pardon me, into having like a mirror in the room. So think about that. If you're Mars in Leo, you could literally undress in the mirror with music. That could be like a vibe. So there you go. Mars in Virgo, I always feel like for these people, they need a clean atmosphere. They need to like have had a shower. Like my partner actually has this placement in sidereal. They don't want to be grubby or grimy. Like they want to be clean. They want the environment to be neat and orderly. And for them, it's Virgo. Mars in Virgo is actually about selflessness. So if you really want to be worshipped in the bedroom, find yourself someone with heavy Virgo, because there's going to be a sense of it's about pleasing you. And sometimes that can be like difficult if you also have Virgo energy, because it's like both of you trying to please each other, and that actually doesn't always work, because one needs to know when to step back and receive. But generally this Mars in Virgo energy is about, you can actually go and you could do acts of service for your partner, or they could do acts of service for you, and you could really like that. And actually being able to do something practical for your partner would really turn you on. And again, you might actually get turned on by like cleaning the house, or which I know is really weird, go and clean the house, or sort out some drawers, wash the day away and then come back to it. That is the Mars in Virgo energy to a T. So if you know about this kind of Virgo energy, it's very volatile, it's very changeable. And that can be the thing. They can be changeable. They can be volatile. You know, they can start things they may not finish. You know, that kind of thing. But no, well, they will see things through to the end, Mars in Virgo. But know that this energy, I would say, is really about service, perfection, maybe a bit nitpicky. So they can get down and dirty, right? They can, but they need to be able to give a lot. So for you, if that's your Mars in Virgo, know that that isn't your nature. There's nothing wrong with that, but knowing that maybe it needs to be that giving turns you on. So unless you can do that, it's going to be difficult. Okay, so where are we? Mars in Libra. Okay, Mars in Libra. Libra's not the best place for Mars at all. It's a difficult place. It's one of those start-stop energies all over the place. Again, it's a faster moving energy. It doesn't necessarily have length and steadiness there, in a literal sense. But if you're a Mars in Libra person, if your partner has Mars in Libra, this is really about the graciousness. Makeup sex is probably, although it could work both ways, Mars in Libra could go for the makeup sex, and as a like a resolve. That could be a quite a weird thing, but I always feel like there needs to be peace and equanimity beforehand with a Mars in Libra. Again, these are ones that might like to go to an art gallery or an opera or a concert, fine dining, go and have some music, good conversation. They want to be around gracious things that fill them up, Venusian things, socializing, having a good time, deep chats, interacting. That can really help them. So Mars in Libra people, you really need to be turned on by that. What's the word I'm thinking of here? The experience of a date, a romantic date. They're romantic. So, giving them flowers, cooking them a meal, that's a very Mars in Libra thing. They are about balance. They want to know that it's equal. You'll find if you are Mars in Libra, you kind of need to balance things out in the bedroom. Like if things are imbalanced in your life, you'll find it hard to be turned on. Mars in Libra, that's really this energy of they can get into that way in the bedroom, like where it almost gets a bit heady, because it's like, okay, now you've done that, then I will do this, and then it's this, and then we're balanced. And when that balance isn't there, Mars in Libra often knows. But again, Libra energy is often about the other, so they can kind of balance that out. So Mars in Scorpio, these people are really attracted to quite emotionally turbulent, volatile, dangerous folk. That can be a thing. That can be a vibe. But honestly, I love this placement. They are ones that see things through to the end. They're intense. They're starters. They're initiators. But again, now really pulled into that deep, dark, mysterious. I always think with Mars and Scorpio, you can go for the more gothic kind of all night kind of candles tantra, like night shagathon. That's kind of the Mars in Scorpio energy to me. You could also read an erotic novel. You could get into really intense conversations about deep, mysterious stuff. That will turn a Mars and Scorpio on. When I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking, wow, like that's more about my Scorpio ascendant. So strange. But they're also very interested in power, the dynamics of power. So take that as you will. So actually very healing for a Mars in Scorpio person in the bedroom. They can do a lot of their healing through sex, through tantra. So if you are one of those, that's useful to know. To really help you feel turned on, you really, it's probably likely, like those things I've said, you want to get into that deep emotional connection. There needs to be an emotional connection, even if it's not a pure harmonious one, even if it's intense. These can be the people that have not the toxic relationships, because anyone can have those, but it can be very dynamic. And I personally love that placement, Mars in Scorpio. For a lot of others it's too intense, but I say if you're someone that wants to really embody that sexual energy and you're looking for a partner, that can be a very intense one, but it can be a good one. Again, it's a fixed energy, so it can get a bit fixed in one way, but it's long lasting. So is Mars in Taurus and Mars in Leo and Mars in Aquarius. They're like the all-night shagathon people. But if you've got another Mars placement, you do that, like a Mars in Capricorn. That's also possible. Okay, so then we got Mars in Sagittarius. These people will be turned on by philosophical, intellectual conversation. They want to go on adventures. They want to be exploring. It's like if you come to them and every day you do the same thing, you come home, you put on the same underwear, you sit and watch the TV, that might be nice for a Mars in Cancer, Mars in Taurus. They can get going from there. But a Mars in Sagittarius definitely doesn't. They need the adventure. They need to explore. They want to learn and have the mind expanded. So if that's you, at the end, if you're not feeling turned on in life, are you expanding? Are you learning? Are you being mentally challenged? Is your mind being expanded through your relationship? Can you and your partner learn something new together? It's really one of these energies about, you both got to be on the path to growth. It can't just be stagnant. If not, go and do something adventurous together. Go and visit a new city. Go and traveling to a different country. And I bet you anything that will get your sexual energy moving very quickly. Something as simple as studying can really get a Mars Sagittarius turned on. So that's kind of all I have to say about them. Again, fiery energy, so spontaneity, changeability, changing it up, especially with Mars and Sagittarius, and some element of risk and adventure can be fun for them as well. So then we have the Mars in Capricorn energy. Again, this is a long-lasting, dependable energy, but it can be a bit like boring if you're not careful. So ways to really expand this Mars in Capricorn energy, if you're not living a life turned on, you need to have a sense of status, or your partner needs to have a sense of status and power. So I always think for a woman who has a Mars in Capricorn, they need their male. They won't be turned on as much by a man if he's kind of like a bit apathetic, or he needs to be in his status. He needs to be embodied. He needs to be like an alpha male. Maybe he has like a high powered position. Even if he doesn't, he needs to have a position of maybe power and authority in the bedroom, the same as you might like to switch that up and also take that. But a lot of Mars in Capricorn people I find are so driven and so not workaholics, but it can be that energy. Because they're so driven, they're so strong in their life, it's very healing. It actually really turns them on if someone else can embody that quality. It's like, oh, that really turns me on, because they are able to surrender into it. So if your partner has Mars in Capricorn, you need to maybe take charge, be more dominant, be more powerful. The colour of Capricorn, by the way, is black. So think they're the ones that would probably be into the black leather, the kink, the same as the Scorpio energy can be, and the Leo energy. But I think with Capricorn, restriction as well, like things like being tied up, that energy of like power play and things like that. I've never seen 50 Shades of Grey, but something that someone said, they were like, oh, it's very Christian Grey. I was like, oh, maybe, I don't know. So maybe that resonates with you with what I'm saying. So yeah, that's the vibe of that energy. Okay. There's more to it than that. Like power is definitely one with Capricorn. Long-lasting energy, I've said that. Yeah. It's a cold energy, so they're not going to get put in the mood by those words of affection so much. It's a dependable, secure energy. It's more like how would I explain it? It's definitely, for me, is about secure, like what's the word I want to look for? Like, they can be very pragmatic, and they're not into the flares and the flurry and the frills. It's really about like a pragmatic, down to earth, but it's very, like, the power play is very important to them, and they'll be into that. Okay, so Mars in Aquarius, again, another fixed energy, but I always think of these people, Mars in Aquarius, they probably are turned on by out there stuff, traveling, maybe like multiple partners, something a bit weird and wooey, and like, okay, let's do something a bit out there and different. That's pretty Mars in Aquarius. And I don't actually know many Mars in Aquarius, so maybe they're just so out there and weird. I don't know any. Definitely, intellectual stimulation. They're into like the genius energy. So if you're trying to attract back to Mars and Aquarius, you probably need to be quite genius or intellectually there, or humanitarian, different in some way. The same as with the Aquarian Mars energy, I feel like if you have this placement and you're not living a turn on life, you know, are you being intellectually stimulated, or are you like going home and doing the basic stuff, you know, that you've always done, which, you know, Aquarius is a fixed energy? Or are you able to be maybe using the mind somewhere with your partner, or even studying something weird with your partner? Again, I feel like it's the air energy, so socializing with your partner, having big friend groups, that can really turn you on. Even some kind of like weird, I don't know, like internet, it's hard to explain. It's got to be, I don't know, if you've got Mars and Aquarius, maybe you know. Aquarius is the internet, so maybe you could like phone your partner on Zoom and have like Zoom sex, I don't know. But that might be cool. Who knows? So yeah. And then the last one, Mars in Pisces. These, again, emotionally, they need to feel in a good place. They're empaths. They would be probably turned on by healing someone else, someone who is maybe like a bit wounded, or if they're in a place of feeling like the victim needing healing, they're kind of like the Marvin Gaye sexual healing. By the way, he had 8th house Pisces with Venus and Jupiter there, which basically sexual healing is the epitome of that song, Marvin Gaye. He had, oh my god, if you never watched a documentary on him, watch it, and then he'll look at his astrology chart and it makes so much sense. It's crazy. Anyway, I digress. With the Mars in Pisces energy as well, music, creativity, moving their body, dancing, all those massage and meditation, yoga together, that they want to merge. So if you need to get into that sexual energy, Mars in Pisces, then you need to be creative, you need to paint, you need to dance, you need to do all those things, and you need to have a partner who is willing to maybe be in that kind of weird transcendent space with you. Again, like Mars in Scorpio, Mars in Pisces could definitely be Tantra signs. As could a Mars in Taurus, they tend to have that length of knowing. Well, any sign can. But you definitely want to think about other aspects and other planets that are touching your Mars placement. The house that Mars is in and aspects to Mars will only add colour to this. And also the house that Mars is ruling will add colour to this. Well, the houses that Mars is ruling will also add colour. So it's not as simple as that, but hopefully this will give you a good basic starting point of how you can like use your Mars placement or your Venus to be more turned on. Maybe your partner, how you can appeal to what they need to be turned on, and actually, is it true to it or not? Because I'd like to know if there's anything else you can add to it. Drop me an email or an Instagram message and let me know. And just so you know, my readings are open now. You can book them. The only way you can book them is via the link in my bio on Instagram, or to message me. I haven't opened the link directly because I didn't want too many bookings coming in, so I'm going to cap them in a few weeks. So you can email me hello@cassieaurora.com, and that's how you can book a reading. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Like I say, it was a bit of fun, but there's a bit of wisdom in it. And yeah, let me know if it resonates, if some of it makes sense, and I'll speak to you soon.